Paris Saint-Germain clinched their first UEFA Champions League title in emphatic fashion with a record-breaking 5-0 win over Inter Milan, completing a historic treble after winning Ligue 1 and the Coupe de France. Achraf Hakimi opened the scoring early, with teenager Désiré Doué netting twice, becoming the first team since 1962 to score a brace in a UCL final. Goals from Kivcha Kvaratskhelia and Seni Mayulu sealed PSG's dominant victory. The triumph marks PSG as only the second French club to win the European club after Marseille in 1993. It also highlights the success of their youth-focused rebuild under coach Luis Enrique, who now has his second Champions League crown after winning with Barcelona in 2015. For a recap of that eventful football final game, the National Sports Festival, that's the 22nd National Sports Festival, Gateway Games 2024, and the rather very unfortunate accident that claimed the lives of 22 athletes who represented Kano State at that festival. I'm now being joined on This Day Live by Arise sports anchor, Aron Akerejola. Welcome to This Day Live, the Sunday talk show, Aron.
Thank you very much for having me today.
Good to have you back from
the
Gateway State. But let's begin today at home and the very sober aspect of that 22nd National Sports Festival. Apart from the protest over allowances that were not paid on time at the Babcock University camp, the power outage during the 10,000 kilometers race at the Moshood Abiola Sports Complex, and the diesel, explosion, the diesel truck explosion at the Alake Sports Complex. You know, many people, including Ogun Patriots, have been saying, oh, this was a very successful event. And then just at the end of it, after everybody had left, the contingent from Kano, 30 athletes, got home, and then their bus fell off a bridge in the Kura local government area of Kano State.
Really sad.
How do we explain this? Couldn't the Kano State government have arranged for them to travel from Ogun State to Lagos or to Ibadan and board the flights? Why subject them to the ordeal of traveling by road?
Doctor, it's a big question, but from people that are within the happenings there in Kano, they're saying that this is literally a freak accident because we cannot say that the roads were bad, and we cannot say, and they had actually literally gotten into Kano. They were just going into the center and going to the capital when this issue actually happened, where the car fell off a bridge, and this unfortunate incident actually happened. We don't know how to explain it. It could have been anyone, but it's unfortunate that as it stands, road accidents are still very prevalent in Nigeria, and it happened to be that sports people who were caught in the mix of this. Because from my own findings and from official sources, they had actually traveled from Abeokuta to Abuja, slept off in Abuja, and proceeded from Abuja to Kano. So we couldn't have said that the driver was tired. We couldn't have said that probably they were overworked, overstretched, because they had made 90% of the journey before this actually happened. So from all I'm hearing, it's that it's just a freak accident that happened and not necessarily tied to the fact that maybe logistically, if they had flown them, because someone was asking the question, was that if they were moving from Abeokuta to Lagos, because certainly there is no airport in Abeokuta, they would have to still transport to Lagos.
Cargo airport in Remo that is going
Cargo airport, not a commercial airport.
That's okay. Cool.
Yeah, so you look at it and you say that is what happens, but condolences have been sent to the families, because the chairman of the National Sports Commission and also the DG are not even in the country. The DG is in Saudi Arabia on a national assignment. The chairman is in the UK, where they just finished the Unity Cup, and they will be there to see the families and the rest of them.
I think we should not just write this off as a freak accident.
Yes.
It happened on the bridge.
Yes.
Now, could the problem be the condition of that bridge? Could the problem be, although you try to make an excuse for that, could it be reckless driving? Could it be the condition of the vehicle itself?
So now,
So
from what I
that's
heard,
why I think we
from
should
what I heard-
insist on investigations.
From what I heard, that particular boss does not tell the tale of how the boss was. They said that according to the contingents that saw this boss, the Kano State came with some of the newest bosses from all the contingents that came for the National Sports Festival. And according to reports, for those that have not applied that road in a very long time, but for those that have applied the road, they said that road is one of the best road networks in Nigeria. And so they are just chalking it down to a freakish nature and something probably going wrong here. Because when you try to add all the indices that might have caused this particular incident, it doesn't just make sense. And we would not want to blame the driver because we did not know firsthand what really happened. But when it comes to road connectivity and the state of the bus, some are saying that that cannot have been a contributory factor to this particular accident. So, but all our hearts and all our prayers goes to the family, our condolences to the family, because I'm sure they will be shattered, they will be broken, because these are people who had gone out to represent their states and also represent the nation at a national tournament. And a gold medalist was part of the contingents that actually lost her life. So this is very, very painful, and we are hoping that compensations and something is done to actually help alleviate the family. And we hear that something will be done by the government and also the National Sports Commission.
Okay. Very sad incident. The president has already issued a condolence message, and
Yes.
we hope that this will not be something that will be recurrent. But to go beyond that, what are your major takeaways from the 22nd National Sports Festival? Delta State led with 332 medals
Yes.
total. Eventually, when the final tally was concluded, Ogun State came second, Bayelsa third, and so on and so forth. But what did you observe as a man on the ground in terms of the quality of talents that can be groomed, particularly the junior invited athletes who showed up at the National Sports Festival for the first time?
Once again, it was echoed through and through that sports is a unifying factor. Doctor, we cannot overstate that particular statement, because the truth is it echoes through and through, I repeat. Because when you look at how things played out there, when you saw what sports was able to do, I just looked and shook my head, because we are not doing enough, knowing that sports as a veritable tool can help shape this nation and help also lift this nation economically, not just in terms of bringing people together, but economically. The sheer power of sports can do so much for our GDP. Other nations have plugged into this. Other nations are chiming into this. Other nations are reaping the dividends of this. But we are still seeing sports as a recreation. And the moment we take it seriously, and that is what the Ogun State government did, and I'm happy they did that, and they've reaped the dividends of it, because everyone certainly will be singing the name of Governor Dapo Abiodun, because he's been able to bring together the people of Ogun State, and the Ogun people for once can heave a sigh of relief, can breathe and say that we did something that was our own. Doctor, the number of people that came to the stadium in a space of 14 days were over 200,000 for myriad reasons. Either they were coming there economically or just coming to cheer their own athletes. Doctor, that was a melting pot. It was a potpourri of people coming together under one umbrella, that is the ability to compete in a very favorable environment and have outcomes that will outlast us. Of course, you mentioned the invited junior athletes, which is the legacy of the National Sports Commission. I am so happy about that, because what that has done is that it has preserved our future. It means that 5, 10, 20 years down the line, we can use the Ogun 2024 National Sports Festival, the 22nd edition, as a mile marker and say this was where XYZ, because when you're having 13-year-olds, 14-year-olds, 15-year-olds going against 25, 30-year-olds and winning medals, trust me, doctor, it's only a matter of time. Those Ija boys and girls will conquer the world.
Okay, very quickly, let's talk about the record-breaking triumph of the PSG yesterday.
Fantastic.
In the UEFA Champions League. Luis Enrique's young team humiliated, demolished.
True.
5-0. Inzaghi's Inter Milan. Before the match, some people were saying, "Oh, Inter Milan, they are very defensive. They are." I placed my bets on PSG. I said, no, that PSG team is probably the most complete team, back to back, in every department in Europe.
At the moment, yes.
And I think, yes, this season. And I think they've proven it. What's your assessment of that match?
Good coaching. And I must say, kudos to Luis Enrique. He knows his limits. He knows the team he has, and he deployed them to the best of his ability. And kudos to what they did. Because, like I was saying in the morning, this project has been a very expensive project. 1.6 billion had been spent to get the Holy Grail. And finally, they've gotten the monkey off their back. And they didn't just do it. They didn't just sneak into the Champions League finals. They did that in pomp and pageantry. They did that with so much gusto, beating all English teams en route to the finals and getting to the finals and amassing a very massive result, which is the fact that they have become the only team in the history of the Champions League to have scored 5 goals in the finals and also do that with one of the youngest teams ever. Kudos to them, I must say, Doctor, and we are hoping that French football will benefit from this because at the moment, when it comes to the economic side of French football, they are suffering heavily. The Premier League, the La Liga, and the German Bundesliga have taken dominance over the French Ligue 1. We're hoping that this actually elevates the French league to a substantial level, and we are hoping that they can actually replicate this. They've been to a final before, they lost that, but this is very special for a myriad of reasons. Of course, the biggest of them is the fact that the Qataris have invested heavily to try to see Paris Saint-Germain become a footballing powerhouse. When it comes to other indices, because Paris Saint-Germain as a club, they are decent. When it comes to fashion, they've been able to conquer the fashion sphere. They've been able to conquer the entertainment sphere as a club. When it comes to the Holy Grail, they've been lacking. But right now, they've done it and they've sounded the alarm that they are here to stay.
Okay. I mean, the thing is about collective performance from the coach to
the players.
To the players in all the departments. But there were standout players. Desiree Doué.
Yes.
This season, Ousmane Dembele.
Yes.
The goalkeeper.
Yes,
Donnarumma.
Yes, Donnarumma.
Could you just, are there others that I have left out?
Yeah, of course, you mentioned Kvaratskhelia, who just came in from SSC Napoli in January. As it is right now, he will be blessing his luck because the fact that he started the season in Napoli meant that the Napoli winning the Serie A, he will get a medal from the Italian Serie A. He will get a medal in France for winning the French Ligue 1 and also get a trebles medal and get a Champions League medal. Kvaratskhelia was, if you'd ask me, was the game changer for them because he came in January. Before January, the team were average. Before January, they were looking lost to sea. But with Kvaratskhelia coming in and the coach refining the tactics and then saying that Ousmane Dembele play as a false 9, Desiree Doué or Bakola come from the right, Kvaratskhelia come from the left. Of course, not forgetting Vitinha. Vitinha has been a joy to watch. I must tell you, they looked like a well-oiled machine and they delivered on the day. You could have asked for a better performance. 5-star they gave on the day, and what a way to blow out Inter Milan.
Okay. Two things, quickly. What do you think awaits the future of Simone Inzaghi, the Inter Milan coach? And do you think that the problem with Inter Milan, despite the fact that everybody says, oh, it's a very defensive team, is probably the age of the players. The average age of the players in Inter Milan is 29. Could that have been a problem against this young, ambitious PSG team who wanted to prove a point?
Now, you work with what the hand you're dealt with. That is life for you. You work with the hand you're dealt with. Simone Inzaghi has done beautifully well for Inter Milan and the Nerazzurri. If you'd ask me, he stays. They will be out of their mind, talking about the board of Inter Milan, to actually let him go because he's taken them to 2 finals in 3 years. But the unfortunate thing is, something did not just click for them. They've had a rotten 1 month. They went out of the Serie A title race. They lost the semifinals of the Coppa Italia to AC Milan. And when people thought that they will probably try to rise up, that soggy feeling was still there. They couldn't shake it off. And they went into that final looking heavy on the day. And Paris Saint-Germain said thank you. And they rang rings and riots around them. And that is how it is. But for Inter Milan, they will need to rebuild. Because too many heavy legs, too many old players. They will need to freshen up the squad. The question is, do they have the money to actually do that? Is the big question. If they brought back Simeone, they can still go that far. They can still go for the Serie A next season. Whether they will be able to make it to the finals of the Champions League, a lot of indices would have to align for them to actually do that, because no one is certain to get to the finals of the Champions League season in, season out.
Okay, before we end this, let me ask you about Ballon d'Or 2025. There's been a lot of, speculations, rankings, predictions, postulations about who will take it this year. But with this, Champions League over, we're waiting for Club World Cup now. And then, the game may change. But for now, who do you think are your top?
The firm favorite, without a doubt, is Ousmane Dembele. The firm favorite, without a doubt. We'd have talked about Rafinha or probably Lamine Yamal. But the fact that Barcelona is not going to the Club World Cup, that is a disadvantage for them. And the fact that Paris Saint-Germain has just won the Champions League and Ousmane Dembele had a season of seasons says a lot.
How about the teenager, Desiree Doué?
Desiree Doué is still young, 19. He'll be turning 20 next week. I don't think he has done enough to be able to shade that. At the moment, Ousmane Dembele he's got one hand on the trophy already. He's had a massive 2025. And no one comes close in terms of sheer numbers and contribution to the game. Not even, okay, yes, some might say Rafinha, but if you'd ask me, based on sheer contribution in 2025 and based on consistency in 2025 and the year in view, he's the favorite.
September will soon be upon us, and we'll all see. Thank you very much.
Always a pleasure.
Aron Akerejola, Arise News, sports correspondent.